This conference will now be recorded.
So last class, what we had discussed, I think that we discussed about this, interface concepts. Some important points we discussed both theory and even practical as well. And we had discussed some example. Practically we had discussed one example related to this, what I mean to say, related to this interface as well, right? So now we're going to discuss, what is the exact or what is the difference between these classes and abstract classes? We're going to discuss, okay? And then we can go for methods in Java as well. So let us discuss these differences. What are the differences between classes, abstract classes, and interfaces? Okay, what are the difference between classes, abstract classes, interfaces? So can anybody explain this one? We have discussed so many, so many concepts related to classes, abstract classes, and interfaces, right? So can anyone discuss the some differences, maybe?
Abstract class can have both concrete class and abstract class can have both concrete methods and abstract methods.
Mm-hmm.
But interfaces will only have abstract methods.
Mm-hmm. Anything?
Abstract class can have concrete method, while interfaces cannot have any concrete. Interfaces are all definitions of method. We have to implement it if we want to use interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
And classes are all the concrete methods and extension of abstract or implementation of interfaces.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything?
Abstract class to implement abstract class, you have to implement one of the non-concrete method. If there are more in abstract class, then you have to implement all those. And
Mm-hmm.
you can use concrete method already there in abstract class as is, or you can override it.
Okay. Anything?
Abstract classes uses extends keyword and interfaces uses implements keyword.
Okay.
So multiple inheritance is possible with interfaces, but I think multiple inheritance is not possible with abstract classes.
Okay. So, okay. So, what are the differences you have mentioned? So, most of them are, all of them are right. Not most of them, all of them are right. So, let us discuss from my end as well. So, both all these differences, clear differences. So, first one, classes. Classes will allow only concrete methods. Abstract classes will allow more concrete methods and even abstract methods. Okay. Interfaces will allow only abstract methods. Okay, interfaces will allow only abstract methods. For classes only, we are able to create both reference variables and also objects. For abstract classes, we are able to create only reference variables. We are unable to create objects. Same for interfaces as well. For interfaces, we are able to create only reference variables. We are unable to create objects. No default cases for the variables.
This conference will now be recorded.
So no default cases for the variables of classes. So we don't have any default cases. Okay. So whenever if you're representing some variables within the class, we don't have any default cases. Okay. So for abstract classes, no default cases for the variables of abstract classes. We have default cases for the variables and interfaces. So what is the default case? So whenever if you're defining a variable within an interface, right, by default they will follow public static final. Public static final, right? So no default cases for the methods. In the case of classes, no default cases for the methods. In the case of abstract classes, in the case of interfaces. By default, all the methods are public and abstract. Okay, these points we discussed clearly. Fifth one, constructors are possible in classes. constructors are not, sorry, it is not possible interfaces, are possible in abstract classes. Constructors are not possible in interfaces. Classes will provide less shareability. Abstract classes will provide middle level shareability. Interfaces will provide more shareability when compared to abstract classes and normal classes. Okay, so these are the differences. So you can make it as in this is the difference between classes, abstract classes, and interfaces here. Okay, so I hope these points are clear for you. So next one is nothing but methods in Java. So basically, if you observe the basic programming skills which we discussed already, just we have created with a method with basic syntax, return type, method name, followed by some open braces and closure braces. That's it. Okay. So now we are discussing what is the exact syntax. So if you want to create a method, this all these things, all loopholes also we are discussing here. Okay. In Java applications, the main intention of providing methods is to represent entities actions. Okay, to provide methods in Java applications, we have to use the following syntax. Okay, in Java application, the main intention of providing methods is to represent entities actions. To provide methods in Java applications, we have to use the following syntax. So that is access modifiers, return type, method name, in this method name, so you can pass some parameters which we discussed already. Throws exception underscore list followed by some body of implementation closure braces. Okay, this is the exact syntax. So if you want to create a method, so basically we are creating return type followed by method name. That's it. But even before this return type, so we can include some access modifiers. So some access modifiers even we are discussed in, whenever we're discussing some classes, interfaces, concepts, or what we call mainly we have discussed it within the classes. We discussed this access modifiers concept as well, right? And return type anyway you know, and method name pivot list. And even whenever if you're if you're calling or you're if you're writing your own customized method, use different methods or some three different methods, right? So by default they will throw some exceptions. Okay, what is this exceptions? So we'll discuss in exception handling concept. Okay, but so it will, we can throw some exceptions as well, so based upon your requirement, and followed by some body or implementation part. Okay. Where Java methods are able to allow the access modifiers like public, protected, private, and default, one at a time. So it will allow the access modifiers. Okay, it will allow the access modifiers. So public, protected, private, and default. All these things only one at a time. Okay. So if you define some public, so then public is allowed at a time. At a time, protected is not allowed. Only one access modifier at a time for the respective method. Okay. So where Java methods are able to allow access modifiers like static, final, abstract, native, synchronized, strict FP. Okay, so what are the Java methods? If you observe within the classes, we have discussed some couple of access modifiers. So generally, if you're asking some access modifiers, most of them they will define some public, protected, private, and default. Okay, so not only these things, so we're having some more access modifiers like static, strict FP, synchronized. Okay, NATO. This also comes under access modifiers. Here basically we're having so many access modifiers. Okay, but basically these access modifiers also we are using in real time most of the times when compared to this public, protected, private, and default. Okay, so even this access modifiers are allowed. So if you want to define a method with this access modifiers like static, final, abstract, so you know abstract is already possible. We have created some abstract method concepts in abstract method predefined abstract methods we have defined in both abstract classes and as well as in interfaces. Okay. So now, for suppose if you want to go with some combinations. So for suppose I want to define as static plus abstract, or static plus final, or maybe some static plus public, some different combinations. Okay, so is it possible or not? So for suppose if you are providing two access modifiers at a time within the method syntax, so what is the valid combination, or can we define or not? Okay, so that thing we will discuss from the above list of access modifiers. Java methods are able to allow more than one access modifier, but they must be available in valid combination. but they must be valid combination. Like this example. For suppose if I'm defining static and final, this combination is valid combination. Okay, static and abstract or invalid combination. Final and abstract or invalid combination. Static and synchronized or valid combination. So like this. Okay, so whenever if you're going with a, if you want to define multiple access modifiers, so anyway, so if you want to define these access modifiers as a combination, it is not possible. Only one access modifier will define at a time. But here, if you're going with these access modifiers, so you can combine this one or two access modifiers like this: static and final valid combination. Static and abstract invalid, final abstract invalid, static or synchronized is common. So even we can, if you observe some API, some predefined methods. So let's assume Java P, Java dot util dot. One method is there. Java dot util dot collections, I think. Here they're using some combination as a static and final. These are the predefined methods. Okay, we are not defining because collections is a predefined class. So we'll be discussing collection framework. But at this point of time, so just observe these predefined methods. Okay, public, static, final. Okay, they are defined. So public, static, final only they are defined, right? See here, public, final, synchronized, and see public, static, NATO. Somewhere static and synchronized will be there. See here, public, final, synchronized. So like this, okay. So is it fine, all of you? So the main intention of providing return type to the methods is to specify which type of data we are running from methods. So the main intention of providing return type to the methods is to specify which type of data we are returning from methods. So we discussed, return type concept. So we're having some different return types. So generally we're defining some void, right? So not only void, here we can define class interface and even some data types as well. So now here, whenever if you are defining some return statement, right? So which data, or we can say that which data type you want to return after excluding that specific logic of a method. So that is the reason we're defining some return. It depends upon your completely your requirement on. So when we need to, so whether I need to go with the void or whether I need to go with the int or whether I need to go with the string data type, it depends upon your requirement. Okay. Java is strictly typed programming language wherein Java applications before representing the data first, before present data first, we have to decide which type of data we are representing. Okay, Java is a strictly typed programming language wherein Java application before representing data first, we have to decide which type of data we're representing. Okay. For the methods, we are able to use all primitive data types like byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean, okay, and so many things. Where void a return type is representing that the method is not returning any value. Method, it is not returning any value. Okay, so once if we define return type as a void for any specific method, means after executing specific logic within that respective method, so it will not provide any return type. Simply we can say that empty return type. Even if you're providing the void, void means empty. Void means empty. That's it. Okay. So now if you observe this syntax, so we have defined some method name, right? Where method name is an identifier. It will be assigned to the methods in order to recognize the methods independently. Okay, so here method name. So if you observe void m1, we have created m1, m2, m3 methods. So whatever the method name which you are defining, it should be a unique, and so that it will recognize independently. So whenever if you define some method names as the same names, right? So definitely JVM is going to get ambiguity problem. Ambiguity means confusion. So which method JVM need to call? JVM also don't know, right? That is the thing. where the main intention of parameter list. So within this method name, and even if you want to pass some parameters, that thing we're calling as a parameter list is to provide some input data in order to perform an action. Okay. So note point, void is only return type. It should not be used as parameter to the methods. So generally, if you observe data types, right? So data types were passing as a parameters for any method, right? Same way we are unable to pass void as well. Void is not comes under a data type. So some students they feel that void is written type and as data type, but void is not comes under a data type. It is just one written type. It should not be used as a parameter to the methods. Okay. So where we have used some throws keyword there, if you observe the syntax, where throws can be used to bypass the generated exception from present method to caller method. Where throws can be used to bypass the generated exception from present method to caller method. So what is present method here to caller method? Anybody is having idea? Okay, so first suppose here we're having some void m1. This is one method we are having. So here void m2. This is one more method we are having. Let us assume within this m2 method I'm calling m1 method. Okay, within this m2 method I'm calling m1 method. So whenever I'm calling m1 method, right, it is providing some exception. So that what we can do, so within this m2 method, so we can write as throws exception. Okay, it is fine, but where I mean within this m2 method we're calling m1 method, so m1 method it is throwing some exception, we are throwing this exception from the m2. Even within this m1 also need to provide the throws exception. That is nothing but what is exactly present method to call method. So here can be used to bypass the generated exception from present method. So where we're having a present method here, let's assume it is a present method means to caller method. So it will bypass this exception to the respect to this method. So this in detail explanation we're going to discuss once again. Just currently remember that whatever the whenever if you're using a throws keyword, so for any whenever if you're writing a whenever if you're having a predefined method or a user defined method, so if you want to throw that exception, you are using a concept called as a throws keyword. We're having a predefined keyword called as a throws keyword. So by using this throws keyword, just we are throwing that a specific exception out of this method, what are the methods we're having. So this in detail thing we're going to discuss in exception handling at this point of time. So don't confuse about this present method and caller method. So whether you're getting concept or not, I don't know this thing, but once again we're going to discuss in detail information about this present method and caller method, or what this throws keyword, this all these things we're going to discuss in exception handling. Okay, there you're going to get a complete knowledge about this throws keyword. And here we're having a one more keyword called as a throw. We're having a two keywords. One is throws and one more thing is a throw. Okay, both are different. So is it fine, these things?
This conference will now be recorded.
In method syntax, throws keyword is able to allow more than one exception name. Means, for suppose if you're having some void m1, right? Throws IO exception and as well as exception. So these both are exceptions only. IO exception and exception both are exception. But if you observe after throws keyword, so at a time I'm throwing two exceptions. It is possible. Okay. Throws keyword is able to allow more than one exception name at a time. Okay, this in detail these things we're going to discuss in exception handling. But currently just remember that whenever using a throws keyword for a particular method, so main intention for creating a throws keyword is just we are throwing an exception from that respective method, whatever the method in which you have in which you are having. So even within by using this throws keyword, even we can throw couple of exceptions as well. Okay, so like this.